I'm coming from DJ Khaled Marxism. Y'all are coming from fucking, you know what I mean? Bruh, Zherka's awake? What the fuck? You didn't even stream yesterday. Yeah, I'll explain it. Oh fuck! I gotta sign up for the Halo. Today's the last day. I gotta sign up for the Halo Insider because the 24th we can play it. Fuck. Bro, Zherka, you should do that shit too. Sign up for it today. Sign up today because today's the last day. And then the 24th, we could play the big team battle. We could play Halo Infinite on stream. Save me? Yeah. I'm gonna sign up like right now. Hold up. Can you go in depth with the whole Germany privatized everything in World War II because of a Red Scare of land reform and communist revolution? Bro, you watched that shit? Damn. Really? I can't believe you watched that debate. What the fuck? Yeah, so let me tell you the idea. Let me tell you the basic idea. So, this is the idea. I'll break it down like this. Okay. Yeah. So, when you have like something like industrial capitalism, people lose their land and they become pushed into cities and they have to work factory jobs, right? And then the source of social discontent, especially during a period of crisis, becomes that people want to return to a state of having their own land, right? And if you look throughout history, this is the driving force of every revolution in history. It's basically people don't have land and they want land. They just want their own land. They want their own soil. And they need that, right? So that's pretty much like the source of people's discontent, people's need for a revolution. They want land, right? That's basically the number one thing. So because land is everything. Land is a way to support yourself without having to rely on a business going bankrupt, right? On a factory owner or something, right? It's a way to support yourself, have a family, that kind of thing, right? So in Germany at the time, you're looking at the aftermath of the World War I, right? And World War I, for the first time, conscripted all Germans into the army to fight this huge world war. So suddenly after World War I, they lost the war. You had a bunch of veterans and you had a bunch of unemployed people. Then in 1929, you had the economic crisis, right? And there was people were unemployed, people didn't have jobs. So people are hungry for land. They're hungry for some kind of soil to stand on, right? What basically happened was that so in Germany, most of the land is owned by monopolists. They're owned by this landed nobility, Junkers, and other type of big landowners. They just own all the land, right? And what happened with the Nazis is that they couldn't give Germans the land within Germany because it was owned by big monopolists. So what they had to promise the German people was that, okay, guys, you're hungry for land. We're just going to invade East, and we're going to take land from Czechoslovakia, from Poland, and from Russia, and from Ukraine, and whatever. And we're going to give you that land. That's going to be your living space, your Lebensraum, or whatever they pronounce it, right? So that's why Germany had to push east, because their people were hungry for land. And Germany was in bed with the German ruling class, and the German ruling class are the ones who let Hitler loose, and they wouldn't allow Hitler to give the people their land. So Hitler had to promise them land east, and that's why there was war, because there was no land reform in Germany. So yeah, that's pretty much basically that. And then privatizations. Yeah, the first privatizations in history happened under the Nazis. They coined the term privatization. They privatized a lot of state-owned German industries. And then there's a whole lot of other connections too, like the Dulles Plan, which was a foreign attempt, an American attempt to give credit loans to restart the German economy after 1929 and after World War I, was turned into the way in which Germany rearmed itself. So American industrialists and capitalists, along with the British, were the ones who financed and gave the credit for the German rearmament. So they were pretty much propping up Germany's push for war. Oh, you calling? Okay. Yo, what up?
Yo,
Hello?
yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
That debate was fucking gold. I can't believe nobody saw it. That debate was gold, dude. Hold
Yeah,
on.
dude, it couldn't. Don't show it on Twitch because I don't think it's allowed on Twitch.
Oh, what? Really? Okay,
I don't
anyways,
know. You know that guy who runs the debates. He's like
right, he's like
banned
some
off.
Nazi, right?
Yeah, he's like banned off YouTube too, and
Well,
also
but what was his position? I watched it 4 days ago. What was his position? Why would he disagree with that whole German people were starving for land take? I don't get that.
the guy I was debating.
Yeah, why did he? I don't think he even disagreed that hard by the end of it.
He's like a super far right guy, like super like pretty much Nazi.
Yeah. But what's he disagreeing with? But it seemed like by the end of the debate, he totally like gave up.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And the reason I titled it "He Got Demolished" was because him and his community were like, "Yeah, we destroyed Haas." And I was like, "Okay, dude,
You could have been way meaner. He had no idea what he was doing."
Yeah, the reason is because he's trying to make the case that the Nazis were like super anti-establishment and they were like the true...
Dude, that's what bothered me so much. I'm like, how come no creator talks about US capitalists funding Germany or all of the monarchs in Europe?
Yeah. And yeah, that's what dude, the guy I was debating with Logo pointed out how British intelligence would have already infiltrated the German military and German intelligence, and that the Nazis were being supported by the British monarchy and the British aristocrats.
Yeah, it was also the other European nations, the other monarchies.
Yeah, very true. Yeah,
which is so weird to me because I'm like, it's so weird how like nobody talks about that part of history. It's really strange.
Yeah, but like don't show that shit on stream because like those guys are like super.
Yeah. I think are they banned off Twitch? Because apparently the way Destiny told me he does it is if a Nazi is banned off Twitch, you can't watch their debates. But if they were never on Twitch in the first place, like I can watch Vosh and Striker and those guys' debates, right?
Oh yeah, okay. So the guy who runs it, you just have to look up. Is Killstream? Is he banned off Twitch?
Oh, Killstream is 100% banned.
Yeah, that's
is that Ralph and them?
That's who was hosting it. Yeah, he was hosting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is are they still around?
Yeah, that's where I had the debate. We had it on their website, their thing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know much about them. I saw the Destiny and the Killstream stuff, and which is kind of creepy to watch how cozy Destiny is with those kind of guys compared to his like lefty or sock them friends. Like Destiny
Yeah.
looks at home when he's around Nazis,
He he
bro.
he he went in person, right? He like actually went
Yeah,
to
dude,
the
that was the weirdest
yeah.
thing I've ever seen in my life. But it was funny too. I'm gonna admit it. It's so funny. Like it was Destiny. That guy with the long hair. I forget his name.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I was being polite because, like, if people are gonna be civil to me, I'll be civil, but I'll still be
no, it would
polite.
have been better clickbait if you were mean. To be honest.
You're right, but like,
And
yeah,
when a dude, it actually looked like you were giving the dude a history lesson by the end of it. It was kind of embarrassing.
that's what I'm saying. It was a free education thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's weird because I've noticed when I watch your shit, when you do really good, it doesn't have that many views. It's the debates that you like back and forth and kind of like arguing semantics to get more views, which is like,
yeah.
people like entertainment. But the ones where it's like rich with fucking information, nobody clicks on it. What the fuck?
I think it was the timing because I just released it at 10 a.m. today, and usually I do it like during like a weekday, like kind of in the afternoon. So it's probably the timing, the algorithm and shit. But yeah, it only has like 2K views right now.
Dude, see, I think that was the first time in my life I've heard someone explain World War II correct to someone else. Like everyone else kind of like I don't know, they talk about it in like cartoony ways.
Yeah, yeah, they're just dumb as fuck.
Well, yeah, that
But
surprised me the most. I'm like, dude, how come you always do fucking dude, if I were you, I would treat the boys in your chat by doing a whole fucking 6-hour stream on just documentaries on World War One that are TOS friendly with no gore, and then you do all of World War Two, and you can climb up the ranks of history all the way to today,
yeah,
and people would love that, right?
dude, I don't know
Or
if you watched the whole thing. Did you watch the whole thing?
the all of every second, dude. Because at first I was like, this guy's positions are fucking retarded. But when he just stopped talking and he started like asking you questions to go further, go. You know what I mean? Like it looks so one sided. I'm like, I can't believe you didn't get cocky there.
Yeah, yeah. So then at that point, I realized they just weren't smart, and I could just edge. So you know how I was thinking about it was that I was thinking about Killstream audience. I want to educate these people
Yeah.
and kind of reach them, if that makes
Those
sense, right?
people destroy your life. You don't need them, dude. But you know what's
No, no, I
interesting?
know. But here,
The
yeah,
way
yeah,
you see history, like when fucking content creators talk about history, they don't get that it's a loop. That
yeah.
the land reform thing is not new. It's a loop. It keeps coming and going and
Yup,
coming and
yup,
going and coming and going.
exactly.
And people
Yeah,
don't get that. They act like communism some fucking new phenomena or some shit, or they act like it's really weird. Like you can look at this. You can trace communist ideology before Marx if you think about it,
yo,
right?
absolutely, yeah,
Way
absolutely.
before.
Yeah,
But
way,
when
way,
I
way,
say
way
that
before.
live, I get a bunch of L's and people say I'm fucking retarded and shit. And I'm like, dude, just because no one coined the fucking terms and shit doesn't mean that humans have been fucking battling for land since the dawn of time. What the fuck?
Yeah, absolutely. And nothing, dude, but if you watch the whole thing, dude, at the end, this is what weirded me out. I know these guys were like that, but the way that they were so obsessed with like purity. You know what I mean? To keep the race
Who are
pure
you
or
talking about?
whatever.
The Killstream guy?
No, the guys I was debating.
Oh, right.
They were like toward the end, I was like, okay. I mean, like me personally, I prefer Middle Eastern, so I can understand if you have a preference for
No, I
people.
just don't get
Yeah.
how like every Nazi on the internet talks about like purity and like racial supremacy and shit, but then it's always like some fat beard neck talking.
Bruh,
I'm like, what
listen.
the fuck, bro?
dude, dude.
I should be talking about like the perfect genetics and shit or some shit, but like,
Dude, because they were
damn,
telling
it's like
me because at
they
one
send their
point
worst. They send their
at
worst.
at one point he had like a Freudian slip and he was like, "Well, the goal is to make it so that I have the most preserved DNA of my that's like me." And I'm like, "Well, if you want to do that, the person who shares most DNA with you is your sister. So go have a baby with them."
Yeah, I ask Nazis all the time. I'm like, so if you guys are so obsessed with your ancestors and stuff like that, but you guys are detached from your family and immediate family, and you guys lose all these jobs and all that stuff, and everyone's like, oh fuck, it's a Nazi and all that. What are you gaining if you're losing everything? You can't even like support your family, but you're still talking about your ancestors. It's almost like your parents, your brothers, your sisters are not as important as your fucking ancestors. So I'm like, the way they see the world is so weird to me.
Dude, it's just weirding me out because I was like, okay, I get that mass immigration causes a lot of confusion and like, shock and on both sides. And I was like, okay, I get that. But still, you can have people preserve their culture and whatever, while at the same time being able to interact with each other. You don't have to like close, they don't have to be completely closed off where there's like, there can be no mixing at all,
Yeah.
And they were like, no, that's like you're diluting the purity of the blood. You're destroying it's like, what the fuck, dude? That don't make. It's like, dude, I get it. Most people are probably going to marry with people similar to them. I get that.
Yeah, no, I even get the argument against multiculturalism. Like, I'll hear it out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of the purity stuff, it's so phony because you give these guys a beautiful caramel-looking girl and they're hooking up with her the same night, like any chance they get. So they only talk about purity. If you throw the babe in the room, they're like, "Oh, I don't really care about anything, bro." You know what I mean? It's
but you
I
gotta
see a bunch of
understand,
phonies with them, man.
dude. A lot of these people, they're just mad because they can't get any in general, right? That's really what a lot of it comes down to.
Yeah. That was a one-sided whooping, bro. And I noticed, I'm like, the difference for me and you is if I feel like I'm doing a history lesson and not a debate, I literally tap out and I say, "What the fuck is the point of talking to you, bro?" But you carried him for 2 hours,
Bro,
and
that's why.
like, how do you not get angry? Like, bro, pay me if I'm gonna teach you. I thought this was a debate.
Because I honestly, you're right, dude. I was too weak because I got embarrassed for them. I was like, okay, they clearly way out of their league.
No, dude, you were talking to him like he's like you felt like he's special needs and you have to be all kind.
That's honestly what was going on in my head. I swear to God, I was like, these guys. You know why? Okay, here's why I was being weak. Because I just thought, okay, maybe these guys are just ignorant, so let me educate them. And maybe if they understood where I was coming from, they would have a different view, right? Maybe they just don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But then towards the end, they get weird with like the race stuff, and I'm like, what? And then later,
I saw so many easy dunks there, and I'm like, wow, you just don't care.
Yeah, exactly. But then, dude, this is what changed my tune. Right after the debate, like a day later, the dude goes on Twitter. He goes, "Total Aryan victory," and then fucking he starts talking so much shit. Then I watched the live chat replay because I wasn't looking at chat. These two guys I was debating, while I was debating them, they were spamming the N-word. They were saying all this shit. They were talking so much shit after the debate. I was like, what the fuck? I should have literally went beast mode on these people.
I didn't even see the chat, and I know that the chat would do that because it's like...
Dude, it wasn't even the chat. It was them in the debate. Like, him and his friend, the people debating would literally... They would be polite during the debate, then in the chat, they're like spamming the N-word and shit.
So fuck it. Get your vengeance and redo it. Do it on your YouTube. React to yourself debating him, and all the points where you were being cordial... Pause the stream and roast his bitch ass for not knowing.
I might do that, dude. But here's the reason I'm a little bit hesitant is because when I did that debate, I feel like I gained nothing because I couldn't stream it on Twitch. I wasn't on Twitch. I couldn't even stream it on YouTube. I had to go on that shit. And then there's a paywall behind it. So my people didn't even have a lot of access to it. So I just feel like it was like a waste of time, you know?
Yeah. So hold on. Let's say Germany didn't go full fascist. What would have happened if they went full commie? You think? Like,
I think here's what could have happened is that they could have formed and secured a military alliance with the Soviet Union, obviously, and they could have had an economic deal where the Soviet Union needed to industrialize, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have a lot of advanced equipment and stuff, and Germany was way more advanced. But Germany, on the other hand, didn't have a lot of resources, right? And Soviet Union had a bunch of...
And they're in debt, too.
Yeah. So they could have had an agreement where they exchanged specialists. Germany could have sent specialists, and the Soviet Union could have sent resources, and they could have developed each other. But what would have probably happened is that, in all likelihood, France, the UK, and possibly America would have definitely gone to war with them. 100%.
So it would have been another world war either way.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I think here's why. I think here's
I
why.
was thinking if it went the way of the red, I was thinking it would have been a war mostly with just Europe.
Yeah, yeah. Here's why I think there would have been a world war, though, because even if Germany turned red, between Germany and the USSR, you still have Poland and Czechoslovakia and Romania and Hungary and other countries. And Poland was a very aggressive country at that and during the 30s. They were like very expansionistic, and they wanted pretty much to go to war with the Soviet Union. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think there would have been a
So,
conflict.
do you think historians at that time were predicting, because of the Treaty of Versailles and stuff, they were predicting what's going to happen with Germany, or because I don't know anything about that. Like, did people? Of course, people predicted that, right?
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I'm not saying like I know people predicted it, but I'm saying was it mainstream? Like, was it mainstream or was it like just in hidden corners?
No, from mainstream, people were looking at Germany's rearmament and Italy's aggression, and they were saying, okay, the dark clouds are coming over Europe. And that's why the English tried to appease Hitler. They tried to, the government in England, they were trying to
Yeah,
appease Hitler. So they gave him Czechoslovakia because they said, we want peace in our time, right?
yeah,
We want to avoid another war. But,
yeah.
yeah,
Because the most interesting stuff, like I know, like we grew up with Western propaganda, right? So we don't hear this, but like nobody ever talks about Henry Ford funding the Nazi war machine.
absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
and 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 they say weird things like, "Oh, he did it for free because he liked Hitler." No, no, Henry Ford wanted to get return on his investment. That's why he wanted the slave camp labor, right?
Well,
Labor,
here's
right?
here's the theory that me and Logo and me we believe in. A lot of other people believe in. Let me tell you the theory.
Who the fuck is logo?
So Logo is the guy. He was my partner in the debate.
Okay.
So here's the thing: is that Europe was changing at this time, right? And all of Europe's monarchies and their aristocrats and this old nobility, the ancient regime, that's what they
Yeah.
call it. They were betting on Germany to be their knight in shining armor that was going to prevent them from being basically them losing their power. So secretly, the German ruling class, the dude in 1933, do you ever heard of the Businessman's Plot?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in the U.S., Prescott Bush, who's the grandfather of George Bush,
Yeah, yeah.
he
You mean the
he
the devil?
yeah, he conspired with a bunch of other really elite bloodline, elite American ruling
Yeah.
class.
But
Uh,
hold
yeah, to
with this.
overthrow the government and create a fascist dictatorship in America.
Yeah, but what bothers me is like, people attack me so much because I'm like, oh, there's been one world government for a long time, even in competitive times, and they're like, yo, you're just a fucking conspiracy theorist and stuff like that. But I'm like, if you see all these monarchies working together and funding some psycho like Hitler and shit like that, why the fuck would the UK fund someone that they know is like a radical? Why would
Yeah,
the European monarchies fund? Or why would Henry Ford and all these like giant capitalists fund this? And then I realized, like, of course, it's like a game where the rich are in on it and everyone else is like out of it.
yeah, absolutely. Both world wars happened because they wanted it to happen,
Yeah,
pretty
but
much.
I'm one of those guys that maintained before World War One. There's always been some kind of like global force that, like, a team of people who you know
Yeah,
start wars on purpose and stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, World War One was absolutely
And
started on purpose.
and
Absolutely.
you know what bothers me so much? Most people who attack the whole, oh, that's a conspiratorial thing, blah blah, they're like, why would a war last this long if it wasn't competitive and stuff? Nobody understands that the duration of wars is why countries benefit. It's not really the war, it's the
Yeah,
duration of the war.
yeah,
And people think this is just a take that applies to Iraq and Middle East with the US. But if you look at Vietnam or way before that, the duration is how these countries are profiting.
yep, yup, exactly. Yeah, it's within the wars when everything gets pretty much happens during the war
Yeah.
itself. Yeah, after World War II, America came out on top. America started
Mm.
the Bretton Woods, the U.S. dollar reigned supreme. That restructured everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And all the former Nazis were integrated into the American kind of world empire.
Mm.
They
You
were
know, it's
just
weird,
repurposed.
dude. Maybe I'm too anarcho to hang out with you and your people, but damn, I don't see U.S. going full China mode. I don't see that. I can't imagine that being a good U.S. still, because in my head, it's a kakistocracy, a rule by incompetent
Well,
and
let me
evil.
tell you what I
So
really
so
think. Yeah,
so
yeah.
w- the fact that like you want the U.S. to be like China, where you can't fucking upload a video talking about shit, is crazy to me.
Well, here, no, no. Here's what I imagine for the
Like
U.S.
I like our soft cancellation more than China.
Yeah.
How
So
people
you
come to
have to
your doorstep.
understand that in each country, communism will look different, right? Based on that, what that country is. So America is a frontier country, right? It's a more of an individualistic frontier
That
type
needs
of.
to be in war.
Yeah, yeah. But here's
Like
here's what I
I'm
really
gonna be honest, U.S. needs to be in war to sustain itself,
but
right? Can we
here's
agree?
what I really think is gonna happen to the U.S. Right? I don't think communism will take over like the government. I don't think that's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
What I do think is probably gonna happen is that I think the U.S. is gonna balkanize. I think the U.S. is gonna the central government, the federal government will collapse. Um, and basically the U.S. will just be a bunch of warlords and a bunch of like contested territory. And my angle is basically I just want the Communist Party to be strong enough to like hold its own during that.
Well, which it won't, because if you think about it, you guys are not. You guys will never be even in the window of talking about it, right? So, which is so interesting, because
That's what I'm trying to change, though. I'm
yeah,
trying to like,
because here's why communism is so scary is that everyone in their heart is I hate saying this because some people are gonna be like, oh, Zerko, what the fuck do you mean by this? e- Everyone in their heart is a commie. If you think about the working class, if you just talk to them in a way where they realize they're getting fucked over hard, and we're not talking about like a little, like when we look at someone like Bezos and shit, we're not getting fucked over
yeah,
like 10 times. We would say like millions of times over, or because since these guys have power to change legislature, infinitely fucked over, right?
yeah,
So I'm thinking like the only way I would push communism if I were you is to talk about how fucked over the working class is. And those kind of radical thoughts, or whatever the government will call them, is why it'll never be you'll never see it in mainstream politics
yeah.
at all, which is kind of crazy because they know how infectious the idea is,
Well,
right?
here's the weird thing: is like someone like me has never gotten this. No one's ever gotten this far on the internet, as far as where I am, like with this shit. So I literally don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't know like how the government would respond. Like imagine like me being the size of Hassan. Like it's like because here's the thing is that I'm not doing I'm not doing nothing with this stuff. Like I'm getting people interested in the Communist Party. I'm getting people like I am even as small as
You
I
know
am
why?
right
You know
now.
why Hassan's is more appealing? He, he comes at the approach with a more, I know it's fucking stupid what he talks about. I get it. But when you try and like bring in people into your movement with a status kind of position,
Yeah.
it's almost like their brains say, "Hey, I'm anti-establishment. That's why I even became a socialist or a commie." Right? If you're
Yeah.
your rhetoric should be more focused on anti-establishment instead of saying like, "Oh, we got to be like China" and stuff like that, because immediately that turns off like 80% of people
You
listening.
no, you're right. But this is why I'm trying to change how people's perception of China. I'm trying to like make people associate China with
Yeah.
and I want people to focus. Like that's why I'm trying to change people's views on China. Like I want to emphasize China's a people's republic. It's for the people. It's about the people. And that's like that's why I tell people like yeah, like dude, I talked to Laura Southern and I was like, "Oh, so you're a libertarian? China's a very libertarian country." And it's like, it's not intuitive, right? But if
Yeah.
you think about it, it makes sense,
Sorry, when
Like
people say people, I don't know, it's just from the memes, I guess. When people say libertarian, I immediately think of like guns and legalizing all drugs. What do you think of?
when I think of it, I think of more this kind of American instinct, especially by like rural people who
All
just
right.
distrust the federal government,
Would
distrust
you
government
would you
overreach, and
in your
distrust.
perfect red USA, would you want a wealth gap as big as the markets in China?
No, right now in China, they're actually starting to close the wealth gap. They're doing campaigns against inequality, and they're really, yeah. So the reason they tolerated it for so long was because they were trying to build up their industry, right? They were trying to get the technology in the industry, and now they realize that inequality is a problem, and they literally just like this few months ago, like this year,
Yeah.
the president started giving speeches, and now they're gonna really start cracking down on it.
Would you let's say you sold fruit for a living, right?
Yeah.
Would you do better in China or US?
Absolutely,
Like
China. In
I know
China,
I know the answer. I know the answer is China, right? Because
yeah.
you're not gonna have these fucking giant monopolies and shit squishing you
And
out,
there's also you're also gonna get subsidies. You're not gonna be taxed. You're gonna
right?
be your government's gonna leave you alone. It's very
Yeah,
libertarian, very laissez-faire. It's
yeah,
very pro people oriented with their policies. If you're like a small vendor, small fruit seller, you have it way better in China than the U.S. Because U.S. you can't even sell your shit on the street. You can't even sell your shit
yeah.
without like going out of your
A
way to get
permit,
a
yeah.
permit or like in China in the villages or whatever they have. You just it's not like that.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
It's
so
it's
weird when
very
people
bureaucratic in
look
America.
me in the eyes and they attribute the poverty in China to the communist state. I go, that's really not how you're supposed to look at it at all. That's a horrible way to look
Well,
at
the
poverty.
reason is because you have to look at it. What was it like before the communist state, right? And it
Yeah,
was much much worse.
yeah,
The communist state it just gave people the ability to live. People just wouldn't be able to survive. Right? They die of disease. They die of hunger. They die of you know they all sorts of reasons that it gave them the basics. No, not really a lot of luxuries or any luxuries, but just the basics. And then when they reformed and opened up in the 70s and 80s, that's when they started to get wealthy. That's when they started to have a middle class and a good standard of living and that kind of stuff. But
right. Right.
yeah,
Well, what about, like, let's say you had your perfect country and stuff. Let's say you wanted just your own factories, and you don't really believe in global trade. Would you make
yeah,
an argument for that, or would you say fuck that shit?
the country has its own factories.
Yeah, yeah. Like, doesn't want to outsource.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so here's an important thing to understand. China owns all of its factories. It owns all of the
Yeah,
main industries, and now it
yeah.
owns. Before it
I know, I
didn't.
know that. Yeah, they're very nationalistic. Yeah,
Yeah, it didn't have its own brand, right? So like they were making jeans to
right.
sell to Walmart
Lower quality too.
for Walmart, right? For
Yeah,
American brands, or they're making parts for iPhones, right?
right.
But what changed in the last decade is that China started to create its own national brand. So now they have their own car industries, their own phones,
Mm. That's what I'm saying.
Huawei,
Would you want that? You'd want that for the U.S.
to have its own brands.
Yeah, yeah. Like you'd want. That's kind of more.
Oh, you mean to bring the factories back?
Yeah, I'm saying that's
Yes,
more of a
yeah.
Donald Trump. That's like a Donald Trump position too.
Yeah, what I think the U.S. is that it's probably not going to be the case that all of the factories will be brought back, but we should create our own type of national industry. Definitely, 100%.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because anyone who's doing good in society would be against that, including like you or me. I mean, could you imagine if Twitch said, "Oh, you can only have NA viewers"? You and I would get very, very pissed, right? That they take away our
No,
global
here's what
market
would
from us.
happen. So
So,
I
so
would
no, so
benefit.
that's why I don't see it ever happening in the U.S. If you were to tell Twitch streamers you can only have an NA market, every fucking streamer, including me or any like long streamer, would freak the fuck out. That's why if you see streamers as corporations, you'll know why corporations hate nationalism.
No. Nothing would change because Twitch is still based in the U.S., so it'd be a U.S. company, and the money's going to Twitch.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
nothing would change if EU viewers couldn't click.
No, they could. They could.
What do you mean they
The,
could?
the EU would have to ban it because Twitch would see if you are an
No, I'm
American.
saying if NA Twitch just
Yeah.
banned it, so like by
Why?
IP, let's say,
Why would they ban the viewers?
the same reason why a country would like want its own factories and not to outsource.
No. So the means of production is still going to be owned by America. It's just the consumers. So that's a good thing, right? If you're selling iPhones, you want to get into the European and Chinese market, and that's going to
Yeah.
benefit the company. It's going to benefit
Yeah,
Apple.
yeah.
You
Like,
just
so, Tanky explained it to me like you want to stream in China, like you'll do good.
yeah.
Yeah. which
Exactly.
is kind of weird because like you know, streaming to just China and not the whole world is kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a big language barrier though, you know? Like,
I just feel like that kills your like ability to network, right?
here's the thing. You got to remember this. So the whole Western world combined is less than the amount of people within China.
True.
It's a really big place, you know, with a lot of and they speak their own language too. So they just
So would you say like the small business owners in China are extremely happy with the system?
I don't know if I would say extremely, but yeah, they're happy, they're content.
Really? So like a mom and pop shop is they're not complaining?
No, but also it depends on what's going on. So let's say they're
I'm talking about in big cities though.
no, okay, no, in big cities, like let's say Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
When Shanghai was
Which is
undergoing
beautiful, dude. That city is beautiful.
yeah, yeah. But
Uh,
so Shanghai used to have a lot of like small shops and whatever. And when the city became more wealthy, Shanghai, and they started building it
mhm.
up, it's obviously kind of like gentrification. So it probably did get harder for them. But see, the Chinese government doesn't just throw people on the street. If you are a class and you're losing out based because of like the changing times and circumstances, they'll take care of you, right? An
Mhm.
example of this is farming, right? China wants to modernize its farming. And one of the ways Chinese people have a social safety net is they have small plots of land that they can cultivate. So if you go to the city and you lose your job, something happens, you can always go back to your land.
Right.
But China, what they want to do now is they want to move from small family farms to more modern agriculture, right?
Yeah, but how are you so for land? And then you came on my stream, I think it was like 6 months ago, and you said you don't believe in private property at all.
Because here's why. Because this is exactly the example why. Because it can't be absolute. It has to be private property, but it also has to be harmonious with the whole society, with the goals of the whole
Do you
society.
believe that a man can own his can own land in a house or not?
Yeah, no, yeah, but there's no such thing as absolute ownership
Right. You said
ever.
that last time. Say that
Yeah.
again.
So you can't absolutely own anything because at that point you become a sovereign state,
Hmm.
right? You if you live within a state, you never fully own anything.
Oh, this is the argument that your land can be a sovereign state.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can't
come on,
bro,
dude.
you can't just if it's absolutely your land, then you have to have your own
So what?
army,
You're
your own
worried of
state.
people turning into like the Vatican and shit?
No, I'm just saying it's not. It's never happened in history. But listen, as
What do you
long
mean it's never happened?
listen. The example is good in China, right? China owns all the land, right? But it owns the land for the people, so the people have the rights to cultivate their own
But
plots of
that's so
land.
stupid. If it owns the land for the people,
Yeah,
and let's say this the new guy who's in power, let's say there's a newer guy, and he turns out to be, let's say, a horrible person. That sounds like all the power is going off like a horrific party, right?
but the issue is that the government in China it's only accountable to the people, which means it can't do whatever it wants. It's beholden to people's opinions, people's sentiments, people's um, emotions and whatever. And
Yeah. So
if they go against the people, they were not going to last. And that's just how it is. Like in China,
you
after
think the
Mao,
people will just uprise and
pretty much. I mean, it's
oh
there's
come
other
on, you don't
subtle
believe that.
ways
You
they
don't believe
show.
that.
No,
You don't believe that.
they don't they might not directly rebel against the government, but they're going to complain a lot. They're going to show discontent. They're
Really?
going
They're gonna
to
protest?
yeah, they'll protest too.
Oh
Um,
come on, dude.
and there's a lot of protests that happen in China, and the government will take note of this, and then government officials will compete with each other to see who actually represents the people more, and those people who represent them more will rise to the top. So, for example, after Mao's death, because Mao died, right?
Sure.
There was a group of ultra extreme left radicals. They were called the Gang of Four. And they were super unpopular with the people. The people did not, they were just super unpopular. They were too extreme, they were taking it too far, and people
Mhm.
were sick of them. So because of that, they were deposed, and then you had Deng Xiaoping come to power, who started the reform and opening up.
Yeah. Were those the members of Zhang, right? Yeah. Okay. Keep it going.
Yeah. So, and then another thing too is that I'll give you another example of this is that now you have the Xi Jinping guy in power, right? The reason Xi is in power right now is because he's a populist. So during the Cultural Revolution, it became too extreme. Like it became super, super extreme. And then Mao said, okay, these kids, these radical kids, they are so detached from reality, they need to be sent down to the countryside and learn from the peasants, learn from ordinary people. So it's basically like, imagine if in America, all of these SJWs and all of these like super, super extreme radical people, imagine if like Mao said, okay, you guys are detached, you have to go work on farms and learn from regular people just to go back to reality, right? That's pretty much what happened. So Xi was actually one of those people. He was one of those young people that were sent down to learn from the peasants. And from that experience, he came back and he became a very popular and successful politician, basically, because he has this sense of closeness with the Chinese people based on that kind of experience. You know,
would you say that the Chinese rich put him in power?
No. This is
so you believe in the hero story?
Pretty much, dude. It's literally like a real hero, because I'll tell you why.
So there's no conspiracy. Okay, that's
bro. No. Listen. I'll explain how Xi got to power. So during China's reform and opening up, there was a lot of Western culture and capitalism coming in, right? You had a whole new kind of market economy. You had a lot of cultural fascination with capitalism, with America and the West, and you had that whole craze and that whole thing happen, right?
Right.
But then there was also a huge amount of inequality, and there was a threat of social unrest. So Xi, because he had experience being the mayor of, I forget where. He has a lot of experience governing, right? And he's a very effective governor. So China's it's a real meritocracy. If you're good at governing, you rise the ranks. Simple as that. Yeah. He got to power because he was the best one suited to respond to the challenges of the era. As soon as he gets to power, he goes on an anti-corruption campaign, cracks down jails and prisons, even executes. He doesn't execute 2 million, but among those 2 million, some were even executed. Like millions of people. And most of them were the ruling elite. They were the corrupt government officials. They were the ruling class. They were the billionaires. So the rich had a very, very, very shaky, uneasy view of Xi Jinping. And now it's getting to the point where they just outright don't like him. Because he's starting to crack down on the billionaires like explicit. Like Jack Ma disappeared. Jack Ma went out and spoke against the government's policies. They disappeared. Financial speculators are being cracked down on. They don't want any more financial predatory speculation. Speculation in land is starting to get banned. Xi says land should be for home ownership. They don't want financial speculators just getting rich off of land. Yeah. So
he's against people like Hassan, buy and sell kind of mindset.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
No wonder Hassan will always talk shit about tankies. They're after him.
Yeah. So Xi, you have to understand, Xi's a very populist, anti-establishment figure, right? He's shaking things up. He's shaking.
If you ask them, average Chinese working man, you think they'd like him?
Yes, they're fanatical, really, dude. They're fanatical at this point.
No, not in Shanghai. I mean,
no. I'm saying outside Shanghai, especially, dude. In Shanghai, they probably would be less like him, right?
What about Hong Kong then? What about Hong Kong?
So Hong Kong was a British colony that China has sovereignty over.
They fucking hate him, bro.
Yeah, you're right. But this is why. Because it was a British colony they acquired in the 90s, and they instituted a system called one country, two systems, right? Which basically means Hong Kong is part of China, but it can have its own system of government and economics as long as they don't threaten China's sovereignty and allow themselves to be a base for America and Britain. They can have their own thing, right? But here's the issue with that.
Special administrative reasons, stars and
yeah. But here's the issue with that, right? So Hong Kong, all the land is owned in the hands of a few. It's all monopolized. Right. The housing prices.
You can just say it's the U.S.
But it's way worse than the U.S.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
way worse. Yeah.
extremely unaffordable. Land is extremely artificially kept scarce. People are packed like sardines. There's a lot of discontent. And because China doesn't rule Hong Kong, they can't institute a land reform and give that land to the people because the Hong Kong government has basically control, right? They can keep their system. So because of that, there has been a lot of social unrest in Hong Kong and discontent with the system. People hate the system, right?
I can almost understand because if you think about it, Hong Kong's most of their trade is from international trade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And China would lock them up.
Well, no, that's not what's happening.
Oh, China would lock them up. They'd say all the international trade. Yeah,
no,
let's cut
they
back
did.
on
They
that.
didn't.
And then
they
the rich
didn't.
in Hong Kong will be like, "What the fuck?"
No, that's not. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
What do you mean,
If
no,
China,
if I'm right?
yeah.
What do you mean, no, if I'm right?
No, you're right. I didn't know what you were saying. I thought you meant like China. The reason they were gonna rebel is because of that. No, you're right. Yeah, if China controlled Hong Kong like its own system and government, yeah, it would be bad news for the rich in Hong Kong.
They just fuck up the capitalists, so it's kind of good.
Yeah. But the issue is also though is that the people of Hong Kong have gotten really, really mad at the system, right? And they also associate the system with China because China is basically maintaining the order within Hong Kong because they don't want their sovereignty to be threatened, right? So they associate the whole system in Hong Kong with China.
Yeah.
And after the extradition law passed, that was just a trigger for all of this social discontent and economic rage to happen in Hong Kong. And that's why the Hong Kong protests were a big thing. Now, at the top, you have upper middle class people who are a minority within Hong Kong, and they represent the ruling class in Hong Kong.
My issue is like if since the Chinese have to work for the interests of the government, don't you think it's kind of interesting how they can literally have kids work for like 8 cents a day and shit like that? You don't see that in the US, do you?
No, I'm going to be honest with you about something. I don't know much about the child labor within China in the 90s and 2000s.
Fuck, I was going to go in on you.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't. I'll be honest with you. I've heard about it, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I will tell you now that does not happen in China right now. That does not happen in China anymore.
What doesn't happen?
The child labor stuff.
Oh my god! Like shoe factories,
where kids are working 8 hours a day.
Yeah, where LeBron James and all these James.
Let me look it up right now to be sure. But no, not in today's China. Child labor in China. 10 facts about China labor in China.
No, because you can still have all your positions and say that's something they gotta fix.
If it's still a thing that's going on within China, then yes, they have to fix. They definitely do. But it would really surprise me if that's still a huge thing in China.
Yeah, because sometimes
actually, I think you might be right. So China's less developed regions have more prevalent rates of child labor. So in Northwest Tibetan regions are the least developed and have the highest rates of child labor.
Which is so interesting because I'm anti-regulation, but when I think of like no one's regulating these fucking Chinese factories.
Here's also some facts too. The Chinese government is working to stop child labor. In 2008, authorities in China's southern province broke up a massive child labor ring. So actually, I'm pretty sure it's illegal within China. It's not legal.
Countries that are very nationalistic, they don't really care about children. Like, you know what I mean? They just want to be on top or ahead of the
No. It's illegal within China. It's just that there's a bunch of child labor rings. And also there's another thing that happens in China too, which is literally slavery. Like there's secret slavery, forced labor in China, like bricklayers and shit, like brick creators. And anytime the government gets word of this, they go and they round up everyone, arrest them, and crack
but
down on it.
You see my frustration when
this is what I'm saying. Neat said China banned child labor in 2002. That's why I thought it was gone, because I knew that it was illegal. But
because my frustration with Tankies comes from like, I'm worried you guys will start comparing it to, it's the slave labor is in the U.S. with $10 an hour and all that.
No. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. So China, especially in those 90s and 2000s, had very abysmal working conditions for people working in those factories. Not just the child, but even just adults. Very abysmal, almost inhumane working conditions. No doubt about that.
Mm.
But all I will say is that is not that's not
Look, I'm not gonna lie, dude. When
yeah.
I think of like NATO's campaigns and stuff like that, it's almost comes down to the like you guys saying, "Oh, because China markets are stronger than the U.S., therefore they will beat the U.S." At that level, it's really not about the printing money game. It's more about war power, right? And who has the most war power. So, could they ever really beat the U.S. and NATO? And
So here's what I'll say about
do
that.
you know what I'm saying? That it's
Yeah.
just money that they're printing. It's not going to fight for them.
Well, no, here's the thing is that in China's economy, it's not actually just money. They're backing up the value of their currency with real stuff, like
Right.
real industries, real infrastructure, real things, right?
Yeah.
America just prints money and backs it up by
Yeah,
nothing.
here's the interesting thing that I think you have a good argument here is that most of these wars with giant nations aren't going to be like fucking bullets. It's going to be through proxies and stuff. And if
Yeah.
you think of it that way, then China will beat the U.S.
Well, here's the thing. If
Or World War III,
well, here's the
which
thing.
A lot of people claim we're in World War III
This
with
is
the
what it
Middle East.
depends on, right? If we're talking about weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons, at that point it's like there's going to be a global apocalypse. Like it's not, even if China
Yeah,
loses, quote unquote, like America's
yeah.
also going to get wiped.
Well,
like
I don't see a war like that. I see a war more like through other countries, etc., etc.
well, I'll tell you. So let's say there's a confrontation in the South China Sea, or if China invades Taiwan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The U.S., as long as it doesn't go full on and use nuclear weapons, will 100% get wiped
Right. So
in that war.
what's the future of NATO through a tankies lens?
Um, So NATO is reorienting. It used to be the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now it's becoming the South Pacific Treaty Organization. It's re-pivoting to China.
Right.
So NATO is going to focus itself on pivoting to China, but the issue with that is that now there's a lot of conflicts of interest within NATO. So before NATO was united because of the Cold War, right? But now, with the UK leaving the EU, you have European solidarity breaking. France and Germany are going their own path, and there's ripples and divergences with America, especially since Germany and Russia have a pipeline agreement
Mm.
that they just
Wouldn't
signed.
wouldn't if tanky ideology is all about it includes nationalism, then you'd have to be against European Union.
I am absolutely
Oh, thank God, thank God.
every
But
tanky I know is 100% waiting for the EU to collapse. 100%.
thank
Yeah.
God, because sometimes I feel like it's a debt system.
No, the EU is a way for Germany to enslave Southern Europe and make them debt colonies to
Okay,
Germany.
but when you say Germany, you believe Germany is a real country, or do you think it's a puppet state of the U.S.?
I think there's probably a lot of different
Oh
factions.
my God, bro! I
No.
can't
There's a
believe
lot
you
of
answered
different
this wrong,
factions
dude.
of the U.S. ruling
Germany is
class.
a puppet state of the U.S. Get it real, man.
Yeah, but there's different factions of the U.S. ruling class, and they're just different in Germany. Like Germany has their own banks, the Deutsche Bank, and they have those industries. So
Okay, let me ask you this one.
geopolitically,
Let me ask you
yes.
this one. All right.
Geopolitically, Germany is 100% a U.S. puppet. But the
Thank
German
God you're
economy,
honest about that. Because
yeah.
you tankies in your chat are fucking retarded sometimes.
No. Germany is a U.S. puppet. But the German industry and economy, which was created by the U.S., has taken a mind of its own. And that's why they compete with American industries, right?
Okay,
German cars.
please tell me. I believe Japan has its socially they're their own people, all that. But you do feel the same way about Germany being owned by the U.S. with Japan as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, I can't find one person on the internet who agrees with that, and I
And
can't
South
believe it.
Korea. Also South Korea.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And yo, can you explain it to your chat at least? Because when I have to go in detail, I kind of get frustrated, and because if I go to the argument of, oh well, they can't even have their own army, like literally, it's owned by the U.S. If you think about it, but
Dude, which tankies are you talking to, honestly? Because most of them don't.
I don't know.
Like
They
you.
bleed into my chat sometimes to ask me some stuff, and I realize that I am different from you guys. I'm different from tankies, but I'm not different from Haas.
That's the thing you got to understand is that. So my relationship with my own chat is a work in progress. Because listen, I myself am coming out like left field. A lot of people have just not been familiar with me, right? My views.
Right.
And then another thing
What
is
about
that
just while we're on Japan, the argument that why Japanese markets boom and they have the best tech in the world and stuff is because of American intervention.
yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you would say like fuck U.S. etc. But okay.
Well, you have to understand that the U.S. deliberately propped up Japanese industry after World War II, and it was part of their plan for Bretton Woods. So you have to understand the idea for the U.S. Bretton Woods plan was that they said, okay, we had 1929, the stock market crash. Let's prop up Germany and Japan's industries so that we could have a solid basis for the international currency, and we can offload the burden of shouldering everything to these other countries so that when another crisis happens, it's not going to just destroy the whole system. There's going to be other places that can absorb the crisis. That was basically the idea.
And for the Japanese suicide rate, would you say it's alienation from labor, which I hear this argument a lot from leftists, but I disagree. I actually think it's alienation from community.
It's, yeah, 100%. I mean, alienate. You have to understand, alienation from labor is not a thing about culture. It's just a specific economic argument.
I would say that my opinion and yours are not contradictory, because if you are alienated from your labor and make very little too, then you can't really be a part of a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Japan also has an issue where there's a lack of a sense of purpose in general, right? There's a lack of a sense of spiritual...
Same with the US, if you think about it. And, it's kind of why dog shit streamers become popular, because people don't have purpose, so they go entertain themselves watching Miskif.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely the case. Dude,
which it benefits us, but it's also like, if you believe in God, you kind of feel bad when people watch you on Twitch, because you're like,
that's why I'm so mean to chat all the time, because I just want to wake them up.
Be mean to your fucking atheist chat.
Yeah, I'm always mean to them.
You fucking atheists drive me up the wall, bro.
I don't know how many of my... I took a survey. I took a survey, and
I feel like communism needs spirituality, or else it's pathetic.
No. I did a poll on my chat, and I think only a fifth, was it a fifth or atheist?
Oh, you're such a bull dicker, bro.
A fifth
you're
or
such
a quarter.
Liar, bro.
No,
you're a liar.
I did the fucking survey.
Oh, come on, dude.
My chat is pretty.
Okay.
They're probably not actively religious, but I don't think they identify as atheists mostly.
Okay.
We have there's a plurality of Christians, which is to be expected. And then you have atheists, you have Muslims, you have... when
you say it's to be expected, people be like, question mark, but if you look at the roots of Christianity, it really is for the people. It's a working class.
The reason is because the country we live in. It's like we live in America, we're English speaking, so most people are going to be Christian, Yeah. But Catholics are the most, which is also kind of like worrying, because it's like, I feel like Catholicism...
the only Catholics I like are the ones that don't fuck with the Pope and saints and all that. Yeah,
here's the thing. Of all of the Abrahamic religions, Catholicism is my least favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't like the Catholic Church. I
don't like the church either, but I mean the teachings,
I don't know. Catholic theology to me is just I don't know how to explain it. I find it really dogmatic, if that makes sense.
It's so weird because I can imagine you with a Catholic wife.
Wait.
Then look at your viewer count and see if it's worth the risk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Heel Mike does that all day. Yeah, that kind of chat's great.
Are you watching my stream right
how
now?
Did we go? We were on such good topics, bro. We're on China and we did.
Okay. I thought because you're talking about food.
Talk to me about China in World War II and what you think.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. China actually was completely forgotten, its role in World War II, but China actually shouldered some of the most casualties, and most of the fighting and most of the war was going on in China versus Japan. And it's been completely forgotten in the mainstream narratives. But China was
You know
waging
who else has been forgotten? All
yeah.
the Russians that died,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a
which is kind
given.
of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like China faced the bulk of Japan's aggression. So here's the thing is that Japan was always orbiting China for all history, right?
Yeah.
It never had enough of its own resources and its own things. So when Japan industrialized, it invaded China because it wanted China's resources, it wanted
Yeah,
China's
it's so
land.
hard to imagine that the Japanese were very bloodthirsty in World War II.
Oh,
That's
they were
really hard for me to imagine
extremely
because the
yeah.
people, when I lived there, the people are so good now.
Yeah.
But
They
it's
were
so interesting to me
extremely
how
brutal. Yeah. Like
I feel like this American system when I lived in Japan, because I was like, they didn't have a national spirit in the sense that they knew their own history. They just knew the newest iPhone.
well, yeah, that's the thing too is that China always tells Japan or has the view that
No, I'm saying it's a U.S. influence that the
yeah,
Japanese
it's a
don't.
U.S. puppet. It doesn't have its own
Yeah,
sovereignty.
and if you know anything about the ideological subversion and how like US will implement its will, it always comes down to the people losing their history. That's step one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
I mean,
they put in very weird stuff like the last Caucasian samurai with Tom Cruise, and they'll just push weird shit in the world that's popular. And since the market is global, even the Japanese know who fucking Tom Cruise is.
yeah, Japan's a really sad case because to me, I can't watch Japanese movies and TV shows because they're just quality is just it's just really bad to me,
You
right?
what,
At this
dude?
point.
For me, it's I never understood how bad Hollywood is at making movies, and now I see Hollywood as just a fucking corporation. Because when I watched Parasite, the movie, I actually felt cinema for the first time
Yeah,
in
that's what I'm saying.
decades.
South Korea puts
Yeah,
out really high quality shit. Really high
yeah, and that
quality.
bothers me so much that I'm like, Parasite will never really be known that well because of dog shit movies like Avengers.
Yeah, dude, they just released a new superhero movie about China. The Marvel movie. It was like Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Yeah, did you see that new commercial? I think your chat would like that. The new nationalistic commercial of China.
Oh,
It's
which
not a
one?
commercial. It's like a government. Like Vosh went over it. It's a it's a commercial to make you tankies look bad, right? Um, Vosh went over it, and it's basically China talking about the future. You want the link?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Give me the link,
Yeah, hold on.
dude. Yeah, Vosh said that. You know what's funny is Vosh said that because China said they want to have the great revival of the Chinese civilization, that they're fascist, and it's like, dude, but China used to be a really wealthy and like powerful place, and then the British like destroyed them, forced them to sell opium, and fucking wrecked the country. It's like, why wouldn't they want to revive? Like I don't get it.
Yeah. Let me find it. I'd love to do a dual stream with you, just us two. We can rabbit a whole documentary together, and we can find one that doesn't have any gore. And if we went through World War One and Two with you pausing whenever you want and you inserting your takes, because I never thought, I like your politics, but I never thought you would be good with history. When I watched that debate against you versus that Nazi, I was like, what? Someone who gets it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so shocking to me. And I watched the whole thing. I was like, the only reason I can't watch it a second time is because you didn't call him a bitch. You didn't do any of that.
I should have been way more mean. Now that I
Remember,
really
the
should have.
meanness
Yeah.
is replay value.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have
Okay.
been. Yeah. I didn't. That's my problem. Is that people are just polite to me. I'm never the one to throw the first stone.
Yeah.
But they do talk shit after, so that's why.
Mm. What would you say to someone who says China's nationalism is straight up fascism?
I'd say it's wrong because that would be if they were Han nationalist, right? Han is the dominant ethnicity. But Han nationalism was against the CCP, and China's very multi-ethnic, multilingual, and it has a lot of different like ethnicities and different groups. So when they say China, they're referring to all of those people, not just the Han.
If you and I went to, let's say, Beijing, I'd love to. I haven't been there yet. If you and I went there for like vacation, but we also film, we could record, but not go live, but we could record with our cameras for YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like that would be a great trip. Or would you be like scared to fuck up there?
No. There would be no reason to get scared. You can YouTube vlog. Plenty of people do it. You could probably live stream.
Not on Twitch.
Yeah. You could.
Oh, like they wouldn't notice, right?
They wouldn't care. They don't care.
Uh-huh.
They don't care. I mean, like, I don't know if it's allowed or... Yeah, Jake and Bake live streams there all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you could... Yeah, I was thinking about going to China last summer or this summer, but I never had the time. Yeah, a lot of Han nationalists in China complain all the time that other ethnic groups get special treatment, they get affirmative action. Like, for example, the Chinese government in universities and in towns, they will so like, for example, you know how like Muslims in China, you can't eat pork, right?
Right.
So if a Muslim restaurant gets set up in a town, if in like a Muslim town or whatever, then you cannot set up a restaurant that sells pork within like a certain amount of blocks from that restaurant, and people get mad at over shit like that because they feel like the government's giving special treatment to minorities.
That just sounds like a tanky argument because a lot of people say that the Muslims aren't treated well there.
Well, they're talking about the Uyghurs in Xinjiang.
Yeah,
and that's a different story. But I'm talking about the Hui Muslims. Like Hui Muslims are literally the same as they're pretty much the same as Han Chinese, but they're Muslim. But yeah, I mean,
would you say China's extremely atheist?
Yeah, but the Xi era wants to have more spirituality and more morality in general. So they're looking at more traditional Chinese religions and more traditional Chinese faiths.
Right. I saw that he's banning streamers, YouTubers that promote degeneracy, like anything nasty.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's atheist, but it's almost like in a lot of ways communism is a religion, right? That's the truth. Like it fills a lot of the...
Oh, dude, the way I see the world, veganism is a religion.
Yeah, but when I say that, it's like communism fills a lot of the holes that is left behind by religion. So it's not like they have nothing, you know? They still have a strong moral... That's why in countries like Russia today, there's still a communist party, and they're just straight up Christian. They're not even atheist anymore because they were like, well, you know, like the communist belief is pretty much the same. So it's like, why not just be Christian, right?
Let me take a piss.
I go to a temple once a year. We thank local deities for a good life. Yeah.
Base.
Thank you, time traveling. See, the Chinese culture was never really that religious in the first place. That's the thing, is like it was never that. It's not because of communism.
Yeah, man. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's so weird how both of our missions in life are complete opposite. If you think of a status versus someone who just wants society to crumble and go full anarcho and see chaos.
But what do you want to happen after that?
The way I see it is you and me actually have the same present goal because you need chaos before your revolution.
Exactly.
So we will be friends up until you succeed.
But what? So let me ask you a question. This is literally This is Ra's al Ghul versus the Joker, pretty much, right? You're the Joker. I'm Ra's al Ghul.
Yes, someone did. I forgot we were talking about that, and that was the funniest shit when someone said in my chat, "He's Ra's al Ghul."
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Is that state of chaos permanent? That's just gonna be forever?
No, just in my lifetime, please. You don't know how bitter I am, man. You don't know that, dude. Imagine a right winger that hates the police. That's who I am. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm so fucking jaded. And you know what's funny? I'll always tell people it's not because of statistics and how militarized NA police are. It's none of the facts. It's all because of my subjective experience with them. And my whole chat will be like, hey, that's good enough for me. You know, like, if that's like having like one bad moment with a cop and saying, fuck this shit. Right. And when I tell this, even the righties in my chat will be like, fuck it. I don't like cops either. Zherka's right. So to me, it's so interesting how chat will sympathize with something that's like nonsensical just because it's a part of their streamer story. Is that's a fucking cult if I've ever seen one.
Bro,
You know?
I mean, the chat literally, so few people in chat care about your politics or any, like, most people in chat, it's just personality.
Yeah, but no, I think it is because there's more to it because they want your consciousness to be spread because your chat has the same mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of a selfish reason also to support a streamer because you want the world to be like you because you see yourself in this guy. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's like yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of people would stop. Most of your chat would stop watching you if the world became like you because they'd be like, we're done. Finally, it's like us.
That's literally facts.
And I kind of love the idea that we're a vessel. Like we're kind of just the go-kart and then, they push us.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's exactly it.
That's why a lot of chatters would be like, well, how's your little extreme? He has to be. He's the symbol.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If he was an extreme, there would be no flagpole people gather around. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That's why I say if you ever see Haz going a little softer, it won't help his brand at all. At all. Right? The reason why Vosh goes a little more extreme or Steven or even Hazan is because they know when you're extreme, your voice is louder and you get more people with you, whether you believe it or not.
That's facts. That's why I get into fucking Twitter wars all the time. It's like starting dude, I've started so many controversies. Me and Jackson together literally started a huge fucking thing on Twitter.
Here's the problem with where you're at. This is going to sound so fucking annoying, but I'm going to give it to you straight. Your best bet is to grow another Twitter the exact same size as this one and then literally go crazy on that one. Let that one get banned because once you lose Twitter, your networking ability drops by 70%. You think people read their fucking emails?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything bad on Twitter, so.
But and any fucking dissent from fucking suck them shit and they ban you. Don't risk your fucking life. What if it's not muted, bro? At least say it in code. Say it in code.